The heroes of Zamor are yet another faction of warriors that we know very little about. Said to be the age-old enemies of the fire giants and their fell god, this ancient feud could be due to the fact that their hometown of Zamor, which is what they're named after, is located in the giants' territories. It could also be due to the conflicting elements that each side represents, with the heroes of Zamor representing ice and the giants representing fire, or in this case worshipping it. In fact, the Zamor and the giants appear to be opposites in about every way, with the heroes of Zamor not being much taller than heroes and possessing an even slimmer frame, and the giants themselves being, well, giants. Now you'd think that based on the size difference alone, that the giants would have crushed these lanky ice wizards, but the Zamor proved to be extremely skilled and resilient warriors, and much like Finland during the Cold War, managed to resist the will of giant. They're also referred to as ancient, and they ain't called ancient for nothing because these ones that we see are definitely remnants of Godfrey and America's conquest against the giants, which happened a considerable amount of time ago. But with their unique curved swords imbued with ice magic, these guys hit really hard in a fight. And though their slender frame makes them relatively frail, this frailness isn't without its benefits as it allows them to move extremely swiftly, and with inhuman agility. These attributes, along with their innate ability to manifest a blizzard from their bodies whenever they feel like it, allowed them to pile high the corpses of giants. And despite the Knights of Zamor's relatively small numbers, their skill at killing giants was such that when the legendary goddess Marika the Eternal and her consort Godfrey, the Lord of the Battlefield, brought war to the fell god of fire and his giants, that they first enlisted the fabled White Walkers, or heroes of Zamor, into their army, and together they genocided the entirety of the giant race. Well, down to a man at least. And some of these warriors and knights would even wind up getting heroes' burials, only to be woken up somewhere down the line by either Godwin's roots or Marika's tampering with the Rune of Death. By the events of the game, one of them is trapped in an ever jail down in the Weeping Peninsula, for a reason I can't seem to discern yet, but it could be due to a number of things. And outside of the two that we find in hero graves, the only other ones are found in their homeland, patrolling the ruins of their once proud city. And despite their diminished state, they can at least take solace in the fact that they outlasted and defeated their mortal enemies, the giants. And yeah, it's entirely likely that these remnants patrolling their city in the ruins could very well be veterans of America's conquests from back in the day, as they're said to be extremely long-lived. The strange design of their blades is said to resemble a chilling wind or blizzard in an act of utter devotion to winter. And they're about the same height as an alabaster or onyx lord. It's unknown if their hatred of the giants is extended to the trolls who betrayed the giants and fought alongside the Zamor, but were also often called the lesser giants. So it's really tough to say if the Zamor hated these guys too. But it's possible, and maybe even likely, because we know the trolls and the giants shared a homeland. And we know the trolls up until a certain point served the giants until they betrayed them in favor of Marika and Godfrey. So I think it's safe to say that the trolls often fought the Zamor too when the Zamor were waging their wars against the giants. Also, when you see these guys, you might instantly think White Walker from Game of Thrones or the others from A Song of Ice and Fire, which are, obviously by George R.R. Martin. And yeah, there's some obvious similarities, but I mean, besides the utter devotion to winter and the fact that they're said to emit cold, they don't appear to be made of ice like the White Walkers, and I mean, if anything, it's just a funny reference. Because, I mean, I know we haven't seen much of the others in the books, but the White Walkers we see in the show are just like a bottomless evil, seemingly. And the Zamor seem to be a little more complicated than that, as do the others in the books. But moving on. There's a theory I'm a fan of, but I haven't seen much evidence of, is that Ranni's mentor, the mentioned Snow Crone or Snow Witch that we hear about in many item descriptions, could have been a Zamor, due to her being called like a snow witch, wearing frozen clothes, and, said to be well versed in cold sorceries. And I mean, she's apparently extremely long lived too, because most witches are, and who knows how long ago this happened. But then again, it's also possible that Ranni's mentor was a Wraithcaller, because Wraithcallers are the only things we see that have 4 arms. So it could go either way. That's what happens when you get into speculation, though. There becomes this place where anything's possible if the right shit backs it, while ignoring the stuff that doesn't back it. So I mean, this is obviously speculation, but then it's possible that the Zamor worshipped the Dark Moon, which could have granted them their cold abilities. And the only cold sorcery in the game that isn't said to be one created by Ranni's mentor is the Zamor Ice Storm. Now, they could just be next to each other because they're both just cold magic and could have nothing to do with each other outside of the fact that they both are cold. But who knows, it's fun to speculate. I think it's interesting also that she's described as snowy You know, that could mean anything, and it could just be a reference to her attire being frozen. Another observation I've made is that, you know, true to these guys' reputation, the Zamor have this reputation as being the living embodiment of winter. These guys fight barefoot, not wearing pants and not wearing gloves. They just wear some metal armor that looks pretty much just ceremonial, and a ceremonial mask with like a mane of hair. I don't know, I think they look really cool. They remind me of the Zora from Legend of Zelda if they were like better warriors and, you know, associated with ice as opposed to water. And them being described as clad in an icy wind could either mean that they're at home in the blizzard, or that they quite literally have the ability to emit a mini blizzard from their bodies, which I think would be badass. But I think an argument could be made for either side of that. And more or less, that was like all I could dig up on the Zamor and like what theories I could come up with what I've read about them. I think they're a pretty interesting group of people that we may learn more about in like a DLC, and if they do have something to do with Ranni's mom, or Ranni's mentor, I mean, then they will probably pop up in like a Moon DLC or something. But if they don't, then they're just another one of the, you know, nice little mysterious type of enemies that we see in the game that really don't need much of an explanation other than that they fought alongside Marika and Godfrey and that they stomped out the giants with them. I mean, they're definitely like explored enough to just be left vague like that, but maybe there's more to them, maybe there's not. I hope you guys found this video at least vaguely informative. I'm trying to get better at I'm trying to sound less boring when I talk and do these, but you know, maybe I need to smoke a little bit less weed when I record them. It helps with the anxiety though, because I'm still new to this whole like recording audio thing, and it helps to be stoned when I do it. So I'm sorry if my voice sounds sort of droning at times, or if I'm talking a little too fast or maybe mumbling, but I really appreciate all the feedback I've been getting, good or bad. I appreciate all the comments, sharing differing viewpoints. I appreciate all of it. It's been a real blast so far, and I'm going to keep making these videos. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be about like all the demigods and all the outer gods. I'm not going to do like a super in-depth deep dive into all of them, but I'm gonna try to just like explore them a little bit and get like surface knowledge and possible like I guess like iceberg knowledge on each of the demigods and outer gods, and try to like spend like a good amount of time on each one of them, but without like droning on too long, but without the risk of at the risk of rambling on even longer at the end of this video. See you guys next time. If you like the video, please like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. I'll see you next time. Please have a good one.